What's up, everyone? It's Alex Regier, co-founder of Story Hunter, the world's largest marketplace for video creators. We're going to be speaking with João Pedro Paes Leme, the guy who started a content studio last year with the second largest YouTube star in the world. His name's Felipe Neto. We're headed to Rio de Janeiro, a cidade maravilhosa. So last year, João Pedro and Felipe Neto started the content studio Play9. They manage some of the biggest influencers in the country. Soccer icon Marta, influencer Bruna Gomez, and gaming hub Final Level. So people, if you want to get kids to learn, you can have a class right here. Maybe you can start with just giving some context about like Brazil and the digital video space and how it fits in and how it acts differently.
Actually, I came from a different background, which was more related to the very traditional old media, and I migrated to this new kind of doing content.
From director of sports at the largest media company in Brazil, one of the largest in the world, global.
Exactly.
And now working with one of the biggest YouTube stars and building out an influencer marketing company. And
that's true. Actually, it started a very long time ago. When we talk about digital, it's almost 10 years is
2
like
years.
10 years is 1 year, or 10 years means 100 years, depending on the context and the point of view. Actually, in 2011, I brought Felipe to Globo to do a kind of show, a sports show, very funny, and in terms of language was a little bit different. The approach that he had with the youth, you know.
This is Felipe Neto.
Felipe Neto,
the biggest YouTube star in Brazil.
Nowadays, he was like 700,000 subscribers, not very much well known, but already a kind of huge talent that we could see, and I had the total, I was certain that he would become a star. And he was already very funny, very interesting character, very intelligent. He's a genius for me. If you don't bring someone new, someone more fresher, but not only the presenter, the commentator, the influencer, also, of course, all the mindset that he or she would bring to television, which probably would be very different from the one that we were doing at that time.
So you couldn't sell him into global?
Yeah, it was
they couldn't deal with that type of language.
It was a very different type. For me, it was a challenge even to present him to the other directors.
Because he didn't talk.
Yeah, because I was at that time 38 years old, so I was very young for a director. And then, 37, 38 years old. And then I saw, look, how am I going to convince these guys that a YouTuber could be something helpful for us? So we have this huge operation, this huge kind of conglomerate. And at the same time, we see that things are not going that well. It's amazing that one guy speaking Portuguese is the second in the world. It's amazing. Even Felipe was telling me, look, JP, I don't know. I never thought about it. I never thought that I could even go close to this kind of achievement. If you see the model here, we are very close to Google as partners, of course, because one of my partners,
particularly, right?
Exactly, because Google is the seller, let's say. Google is the brand, and YouTube is the
they sell the ads.
They sell the ads, and the other one, the YouTube is the platform
Facebook, Instagram. How about
you know that monetizing on YouTube for us, it's pretty easy to understand when we have a partner like Felipe. He knows that, he explains CPMs, we understand it in a very deep way, you know. We know how the algorithm is going to do it. If you write the title that is not going to engage, or if your thumbnail is a little bit.
It seems like a moment for you too. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So then you monetize off CPMs and views, and then do you also get sponsorships?
Sponsorships, and normally we use the influencers as channels as well, because not only Felipe, the other ones. So if you can monetize them with ads, of course, with AdSense.
Okay.
Depending on the CPM, it could be a huge AdSense, as Felipe does, or you can start from the very beginning, growing with the audience, which is something that I like a lot to do and to watch.
So how do you make money off of that then?
Selling sponsorships as well. Sponsorships.
So you have ads on the views. You have sponsorships. Anything else?
Yeah, we normally we sell projects, content projects, which is something that for me is the core of the company, because you don't depend on always on the sponsor.
How does that play out? Give us an example.
In November, we just did something very special, which was the first time that Black Friday in Brazil was matched something that could be defined as entertainment and selling in commerce at the same time. We did a show which was called Black Friday Show.
Okay.
We put 18 influencers together on YouTube Space here in Rio. We had this kind of, there is something here we brought from there, which is a pool full of 18,000 red balls. It's amazing. It was one of the activations that we did there, the motives that we had to use.
So then you sold things, kind of like an infomercial for
influencers? We didn't sell it on screen because YouTube don't have this kind of technology. But actually, we did that, and at the same time, we had the 6 sponsors with their websites. So we're always linking something to their websites, and it was amazing how they sold things, and it was pretty good. Yeah. And we are already hired to do the same thing next November, and actually it was based on something that Alibaba is doing in China.
Yeah.
You know that they have there something very close
to Google of China.
The Google of China. Yeah. Alibaba is Google plus Amazon. Huh?
Yeah.
It's huge.
So they have influencers doing that.
Yeah, they're doing something very interesting. There are 2 things they're doing there. They have this kind of, this is very cultural for them nowadays, which is buying things while people are online live doing some kind of live content, and they just sell things. It's very common for them. And the other thing, they're doing very big shows to sell specific products during specific dates. Google was talking to me to find out something different to do during the Black Friday day or week. And I said, look, let's try to do something very close to what these guys did over there. It wasn't Black Friday for them, it's Singles Day. It's the equivalent to Black Friday. It's 1-1-1-1, and they explained me that it's 11-11, so 4 numbers 1, so they never meet. That's why it's the single day.
That's funny. It's kind of like people listening are probably like, Black Friday, they don't have Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But Brazilians celebrate Black Friday, not Thanksgiving.
Not Thanksgiving, we just got the commercial part, not the...
So, and that's also interesting because that's kind of the opposite of what people are saying now, is that young people don't want to see ads, right? They don't want to feel like they're actually being sold. This is sort of like straight up, I'm selling you, but I'm going to entertain you at the same time.
Exactly. I just made a joke. If you have branded content, that our company is based on branded content, right? So there is this other concept that would be content branded, It's the same thing, but there is a tricky way of doing that, not interrupting the storytelling, which is something that people are not very fan of doing that, but doing the opposite. You put in a very organic way the content inside the brand. So we didn't have any problem to say, look, we are here, this is a program. We are very interested in what you're saying here because we made our special screenplay to do the best show ever. But look, we are also selling many things. They are here. This is a promotion because we had to do that also because of the legislation. In Brazil, you cannot pretend you're doing just entertainment. You should.
Yeah, but maybe it's a better format too.
Yeah.
So, what are the things that you've seen in the past like 18 months, kind of trends that you think will really that you saw happen in the past 18 months, and what do you see happening in the next 18 months?
What I saw was social video becoming even more important than it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and some platforms coming and one becoming the great star. Maybe which is TikTok.
Yeah.
Probably is becoming the new YouTube, the YouTube of the new generation. So we are investing now in bringing TikTokers to Play9 because I know that it's probably bringing something.
And why is that?
Because when you see Felipe, and you probably compare Felipe to how he was 10 years ago when he started in the very early beginning of YouTube in Brazil. Actually, we have here the very first button, the gold plate in Portuguese language was his. I don't see Felipe doing that on TikTok anymore. I don't see anyone with this kind of magnitude doing that and becoming a new TikToker. I think it's not probable that the YouTuber that we know, the very well-known ones like Felipe or Whindersson, they're not transfer because
so their mindset,
their mindset, in a very basic way, if we could compare and make a kind of analogy, it would be if you had before TV, and then YouTube. Now you have TikTok.
So I'm not big on any platform. That means I could be pretty good on TikTok.
Yeah, you could start. You have the profile. You have fun. you speak 2 or 3 languages. You can become a star on TikTok. You know that there are some guys, for instance, Will Smith. His Instagram and TikTok. Yeah. I love his TikTok. You know. Yeah. He hired some people. Those guys are very well prepared on special effects and 3D. So they're the masters on YouTube. They have a channel. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna hire these guys, and they're gonna work for me." And he did that, and now his TikTok is amazing because he does things that people normally don't do.
What would you say to young people who are trying to start their own production companies or agencies or start creating content? What are kind of the advice that you could give them, or someone who's working at a big company who wants to leave and start something in the creative space? What type of tips would you give them?
It's the age of authenticity. So you have to be yourself. If you're not happy with your job, quit. If you're not happy with what you're doing, change. Go sell coconuts on the beach. Do whatever what makes you happy, because otherwise you're not gonna make anyone happy, and the audience will understand that and to feel that and to notice that. So probably for someone who's starting something with 20 or when he's 20 or she is 20, 22, 18 years old, they can risk a lot, and they have to risk a lot. My son, I have 2 sons, one 22, the other one is 18, Gabriel. Gabriel now, he just passed to the college. He is not going to college, I think, because he wants to be different from the last generation, which doesn't include us.
And you're okay with that?
I'm pretty okay with that.
Yeah.
I think he's right, actually. But the most important thing for me is to understand that probably the amount of content that he already read, he did 26 hours of course in Amazon, 20, I don't know how much in in a site called whatever.
Yeah, online education.
It's amazing
Yeah.
how many things he learned at that time. Yeah, I was comparing it to myself at this age. What I was doing when I was 18, you know? I was already, I was doing biology. I'd like to be a biologist, which would be wrong. Then I moved to psychology, and then I moved to journalism.
What was the advice that you should have ignored?
Try not to fail. This you should ignore. Fail a lot. Fail until you get straight to the point that you dream of, that you want to achieve. This is something that you should do always. Not try to convince people that you're this or that, or to become a huge star. Try to do what you're passionate about and fail in this way.
And be happy.
And be happy. Of course, I'm a carioca. I should be happy. It's always sunny. It's beach everywhere, mountains.
Pois é.
Pois é, você também.
Valeu.
You too.
Obrigado.